Hey gang, I know it's been a few weeks since I've posted anything substantial anyway. Just been kind of busy, and you know, the Camaro project, it's still here, and the owner is kind of going back and forth on what kind of suspension he wants to put under the car, and so he wants me to hold off on doing anything. So it's going to sit. In the meantime, I remodeled a bathroom while I've been waiting. I pulled down Speed Buggy off the lift, cleaned it up. Unfortunately, I still have to pull the front end apart and swap out a gas tank. So that's not going anywhere anytime soon. Beyond that, this 2000 model Chevy that I've had for a while, it has issues. It has 260 some thousand miles on it, and it's been rattling for quite a while. And let me just start it up here and show you. And I've already turned it around this morning, but you can have a listen. It's quieted down already. But the point is, this truck has I think it's 63,000 miles on it, and I've got somebody interested in buying it, but they don't trust the mileage, and I don't blame them. That said, I've had this sitting in the back of the shop for 5 years, maybe 6 years, I don't know. Picked it up from LKQ for another Chevy that I had, and it's got 80,000 miles on it, and it's been airtight. They got everything taped up, everything's plugged off, which is good. But the other truck that I bought this for, I ended up selling it. So the engine's just been sitting, and of course this guy wants the truck, and he wants it with, you know, a lower mileage engine in it. So that's my deal. I'm going to swap this engine out. But you know, I'm still trying to get stuff together and do things. Still working on this little cross project. Just got to smooth up some areas that I welded and put some filler on. But just to give you an update, I've got some other things going. I still plan on getting back on the Camaro, and I've got a few tips and tricks I want to show you at some point on the Buick, and I'll just show you that real quick since I'm thinking about it. There she is. Now this car, I think I showed this before, some dents here, and I'm going to show you how to fix those without just plastering it full of mud, because that's what they did before. That's a pretty deep dent, and I'm going to show you something with that. But that's all. Just trying to get caught up on things and clean up the shop a little bit. As you can see, I got junk everywhere, and hopefully I can get this engine swapped out in the next day or so and end up selling the truck, and that'll put me further ahead on getting started on the 68 project. Well, here's a little follow-up on this project. This has turned into quite the fiasco. I can swap an engine out of a Camaro or a Mustang or whatever probably in a day and have everything up and running again. This has taken me 3 days. Now granted, I wasn't working on it 8 hours. I was probably putting in 4 or 5 hours a day. But that said, this should have been a lot easier than it was. As you can see, I have the engine out. Now, as I was making progress and taking things away, like power steering unit, alternator, getting stuff out of the way, I also had to get out of the way the AC compressor, which I did. And with that, I ended up breaking a wire. You can just see right there, it's a green one. I'm kind of pointing at it. But I broke that end off, so I have to order a new pigtail from GM to take care of that. That's not a big deal. The other problem I had was breaking the bolts loose off of the Y pipe, or off the manifold for the Y pipe. I had 2 of these. One, the nut turned down so far and then got hung on the threads and couldn't come out. And this one, I was trying to break it loose, and I was, of course, underneath the truck and using a long breaker bar, but I could not even snap that thing. So I got a cut-off wheel and cut those off, which is no big deal because that engine back there has manifolds on it and all the studs are good. Okay, not a big deal. This becomes more difficult. I just want to show you this. The starter mounts right here. There's 2 bolts hold the starter in. There's a piece of plastic that goes right here as well that kind of seals all this off. This is your only access point for taking out the torque converter bolts. Well, the torque converter bolts, I don't know how much torque they put on these things, but that's an 8mm Allen head. So, and this isn't lined up, but this is your only point of access for putting something on there to break it loose. What happened was, I got the first one out, I went for the second one, which I think is that one right there, and my Allen head socket, this one right here, I started putting torque on it, and it kind of mushed around in there. Well, the problem is I have no access to get that out, you know, in here. I can't put like vice grips on it or cut it off or anything like that. So it only gets better. What I ended up doing, I decided I would pull the engine out with a torque converter still attached. On an old GM, old 350, that's really not a big deal. On these, it is a big deal because the oil pan gets in the way. If you look, you can see how this pan comes way down from here. Well, that interacts with the cross member there, or I mean the differential, and to get everything out of the way I had to pull the pan off so that I have enough room to slide the engine forward to pull the torque converter out with it all attached. Hope that makes sense to you. But I ended up having to take the pan loose off of the engine and then take the oil pickup tube off, which also sits down in there, and there's 2 mount points for it, one there and one there, and then this little bolt in front here. Anyway, I just wanted to show you what's going on with this. Hope this all makes sense, but this has been quite the struggle. Like I said, if it had been an old 350 small block, I'd have been done the same day that I started. So I'm going to soldier on, try to get this thing put back together. I've already had to order some parts, and hopefully I can get it all back together and do a follow-up and show you what it's like. Okay, as I'm swapping over pieces and parts and engine mounts and all that sort of thing, I just wanted to show you the difference here. This engine has 80,000 miles on it. And I mean, it's a little dirty, but it still looks pretty good. This engine has 260,000 miles on it. Look how dark it is down in those chambers. Still ran like a champ though, it just rattled whenever it fired up, and you know, when it gets that kind of mileage on it, you can't have the greatest confidence. So this is going to be like a whole new heart for this thing, and it ought to run good.